my man got too familiar, and I ended up having to whip his ass, man, because, he stepped across the line. Habitually, he's a habitual line stepper.
What up, family? Happy Juneteenth, for real.
Happy Juneteenth, that's right.
Hope you out there living your best life today. Or maybe just, chilling hard, not working too hard, right?
Taking it easy, hope so.
Now, look, if you tuned in expecting the usual HLS fellas, Rebel, Scrota, and Electric on the mic, nah, that ain't happening today.
No, not today.
The boys were out last night, man, acting young and wild, you feel me?
Trying to relive the glory days.
Something like that. So they earned their rest.
That's right. They earned it, and we're here to hold it down. Keep the Juneteenth vibe strong, Shine a light.
Exactly. So for today's special Juneteenth kickback, you can call me Brotha Knowledge for the day.
That's what's up. Brotha Knowledge in the building.
And my co-host, Sistah Soul.
Okay, Sistah Soul.
The one and only. We rocking these honorary names, got to set the right energy for the day.
Affirmative. Special day, special segment. Got to do it right.
So check it. Our mission today, it ain't no regular deep dive now. We calling this, But Who Won, though?
Huh. I like that.
Right. We going back through some classic HLS podcast moments, dissecting their arguments.
Breaking it all down.
And crowning some winners, some losers, and probably some innocent bystanders too, man.
It's all in good fun, though.
Oh, yeah, all love, but we're going to keep it 100.
That's the game plan, yeah. We stepping in as, impartial judges today.
Mm-hmm.
For each segment we look at, we'll summarize the main points, break down what Rebel, Scrota, and Electric were saying.
Right.
Weigh the good and the bad, see if their points actually held up or if they got, knocked down.
Okay.
And we introduce it, check this, the BS heat check.
Ooh, the bullshit heat check. I like that.
Yeah, to see who was spitting straight facts and who was just, talking nonsense. Full cap.
Okay. Oh.
And, of course, we got some awards, Black Culture-inspired awards, good and bad.
Like what?
Most tangents or maybe least likely to stay on topic, stuff like that.
Okay. I'm here for it.
And then, boom, we declare a winner for each round. Simple.
Got it. All right, y'all, get ready, because we're about to dig into some classic HLS debates.
Let's do it.
First up, episode 02, Billionaire Haters. Then we can jump to episode 07, Space, Science, and Anal Probes. But we focus in on the new math and the nerd versus cool parts.
Okay. Good picks.
After that, episode 04, Shortcuts, AI Girlfriends, Gambling, and Ozempic. We hit the gambling, the robot bays, and that Ozempic talk.
A lot of ground to cover there.
For real. And we wrap it up with episode 11, Is College Even Necessary?
Ooh, another big one.
Yeah, it's about to be a whole word fest, man. Listen up. All right, family, let's kick this thing off with episode 02, Billionaire Haters.
Okay.
Now, this one had Electric out here defending the paper chasers, going hard for the billionaires.
Right.
While Scrota and Rebel were kind of looking at the whole game sideways, questioning things.
Exactly.
The main question was should there be a cap on how much money somebody can have? Wealth cap.
Mm-hmm. Heavy topic right out of the gate.
For real. Let's hear what they had to say. Let's listen in.
So there's 735 billionaires as of 2023. Approximately 813 billionaires in America as of 2025. Yep. And their combined wealth is $6.2 trillion. Now, I will, for the people that might be listening that don't know how much $1 billion is, if I gave someone $1, if I gave away $1 a second, every second I gave away $1, it would take me a little over a week to give away $1 million. If I give away $1 a second, it would take me over 37 years to give away $1 billion. And a trillion is somewhere on the lines of 40,000 years or something like that.
Yeah. For those that don't know, a billion is 1,000 million. A trillion is 1,000 billion.
That doesn't sound like a lot, though.
It doesn't sound like a lot. I
Okay,
like
fine.
what you just said.
A trillion is a million.
I like how Scrota just broke it down by time. That makes it seem so much bigger.
But that's the point. How there's still a finite number until you run out.
But I'm just saying that captures how big a billion is, because a lot of people don't. I mean, I didn't know how big. I didn't realize until someone put it like that. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
So for a trillion, it'll take $1 trillion, $1 a second, 316 centuries at $1 a second for 1 trillion.
Jeez.
Ouch.
That's a lot, man.
That was messed up. If I was a trillionaire, I'd still be telling my kids, I don't know if we got the money.
That will never change. As they hop out of a helicopter.
Hey, can we buy this? Oh no, baby, we'll see.
I said,
And
do
then
you
it has
think
to
there
go
should be a cap on how much money someone made? I did not put a number out. I did not give a range. I said, should there be a cap? It could be $5 trillion. I didn't say any of that. And you guys said no. But then I said, is there a line at which that you can draw where more money does not change anything for you? And you guys both said yes. I said, then why have it? I have not heard an answer to that question.
I gave you my answer.
I didn't really understand your answer. If you can repeat,
You didn't let
said
me talk.
scarcity.
That's the thing. I said it, but I was immediately cut off. So
Brent, let him finish this time.
you know, they not saying this is my opinion. I try to sit in other people's shoes and try to see why and how they see things. See how and why they see things. So I can imagine someone who makes all this money and they think to themselves, hey, I want to pass this down to generations and generations and generations. You know, I want to amass so much money that I can go 10 generations deep and my family will never, ever need anything, right? Mm-hmm. How can I do that? Make as much money as I can. This money sounds ridiculous, but this money can never be spent. And then also, I want to account for inflation or even hyperinflation in the future. I want to make so much money that even if the dollar becomes worthless, even if the dollar becomes very cheap, that this will still be a lot of money. That I can transfer this to another currency and still be well off for generations. I can understand that.
But I understand. I see your point, and it makes a lot more sense now that Brent gave you an opportunity to finish. Don't be disrespectful, Brent.
Man, what's wild about this one is how quick they got down to the root disagreement, the philosophy of it all.
Yeah, no warm-up needed.
Right. So Scrota, he argued that wealth past a certain point, especially the stuff you get from just interest passive income, it ain't really earned.
Okay, I hear.
He talked about the bad side effects, saying countries like that suffer, people suffer. Use that extreme home makeover example.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right. How getting a free house could mess you up with taxes, bills quadrupling, can't even afford to keep the damn thing.
Man, that's real.
And then he hit him with the numbers, that dollar a second thing.
Woo! Yeah.
Like over a week for $1 million, 37 years for $1 billion, 40,000 years for $1 trillion. Just shows you can't even wrap your head around it.
Nah, you really can't.
His main point was basically a lot of billionaires don't do shit to make all that money and keep it coming.
Okay. Strong stance.
Yeah.
What about electric?
So, electric. Completely opposite. Dead set against any kind of wealth cap.
Figures.
Yeah, his whole thing was personal. Like, if he makes some hot software, sells it for $2 billion, nobody should tell him he can't keep it.
Mm-hmm. The innovator argument.
Exactly. He called capping wealth hater energy, so it just comes from envy. And he wants to be that rich dude one day, no limits.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, they found a way to make that money. They should earn it. They should keep it. Real simple for him.
But did he talk about the unearned part Scrota brought up?
Kind of dodged it, honestly. Switched topics when they pressed him on it. More about his own dream, you know.
Gotcha. And Rebel, where was he at?
Rebel was interesting. He didn't straight up say cap the wealth, but he definitely added some nuance.
Okay.
He questioned where the value comes from. Pointed to Facebook, saying it wasn't just the tech, but exclusive marketing with .edu emails earned word of mouth.
Ah, the hype factor.
Right. And the designer bag thing, perfect analogy. Bags made the same, but one costs way more because of status and insecurity.
Good point.
Implying some billionaire money comes from making people want stuff, not just making useful stuff. And he dropped that chilling line about someone losing $121 billion. It's just monopoly money at that point.
Damn. Okay, that dollar a second breakdown still blows my mind. So who is talking the most sense here? Who is spitting truth?
All right, let's break it down. Scrota, he was strong on the real world problems and just the insane scale of the money. His examples hit home. That dollar a second. Killer point.
For real.
But saying they don't do shoe, that's maybe too simple, Ignore some complexity.
Okay.
Electric, his argument was clear, all about personal drive, the American dream. Lots of people feel that.
True.
But yeah, he sidestepped the bigger picture stuff, the systemic issues Scrota hinted at, and calling it hater energy felt like a way to shut down the argument.
Yeah, but defensive maybe?
Maybe. And Rebel, he was great with the observations, showing how wealth gets built sometimes through marketing, status, not just pure merit. That backed up Scrota's vibe without calling for a cap directly.
Okay. So time for the check.
All right, the BS heat check. At 100%, how much BS we talking?
Let's hear it.
Scrota. I'm giving him like 20%. Mostly solid, but that don't do shit was a bit generalizing.
Okay, percent.
Electric. He gets a 40%. Strong personal appeal, yeah, but dismissing the other side as haters and dodging the systemic stuff, that's some BS.
40%.
Rebel. Low score here, maybe 15%. His points were just good observations, not much fluff.
Okay, 15%. Rebel, keeping it clean.
Yeah. Now for the awards.
Let's go.
Scrota gets the Harlem Renaissance Realness Award. Why? Because he brought that deep context, the societal impact to a money talk. Thinking bigger picture.
Ooh, I like that. Harlem Renaissance Realness. Okay.
Electric, he gets the Malcolm X By Any Means Necessary Award. Pure conviction in getting that bag, man. Call it hating if you want. He wants the wealth. That relentless drive.
Okay, Malcolm X Award. Intense.
And Rebel. He earns the Maya Angelou Maestro Award. The way he talked about the idea of wealth, status, value. Real eloquent, breaking down abstract stuff.
Maya Angelou Maestro. Beautiful. All right, so who's taking this round then? The winner is...
This was tight, real tight. But I gotta give the win to Scrota.
Scrota. Okay, why him?
Look, Electric's dream is real, I get it. But Scrota brought the facts on the impact, the scale, that extreme home makeover point, the dollar a second thing. It made you feel the weight of that money, the downstream effects. Electric's hater defense just felt kind of thin against Retta's details on unearned cash and what it means for everybody else.
Yeah, Scrota laid out the problems it causes. Okay, round 1 to Scrota. All right, next up, we're diving into episode 07. This one got spicy, talking about how kids learn math now versus how we learned it.
Oh, yeah, the new math debate always gets folks going.
For real. Plus, they got into who's really cool and who's just faking it. Nerd versus cool. Scrota was going hard for the new ways. Rebel was sticking to the old school OG methods.
And Electric was kind of there.
Yeah, kind of vibing in the middle, trying not to get hit by stray shots.
Sounds about right.
So let's see who had the right numbers and who was just fronting. Let's listen in.
So, for example, my son does what are called strip diagrams, right? And strip diagrams are ways to, like, a lot of his math problems, they're like, don't even worry about solving it, represent the problem.
That's
right?
fine.
So they do strip diagrams. So how do you represent this problem? And when he goes through that and he looks at the problem, he has a bunch of different models that he can actually draw a picture of and represent the problem with. What that does is it allows you to actually look at a bunch of stuff and figure out what the hell is really being asked here, right? But if you write 23 over 14 minus, 13 over 14, that's just do it, right? Now, we had word problems also, right? But they have these representation problems. So strip diagrams essentially, and you know this too, your kid is doing algebra, right?
She's on geometry right now.
No, she's doing algebra. When the way they teach addition and subtraction, they teach them at the same time, and they teach through missing value operations.
Yeah.
That is Algebra 1. And we didn't learn that until 9th grade, officially in class.
Yes.
Our kids learned that at 4 and 5 years old, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, they're learning mathematical concepts, but the strip diagram is straight up Algebra 1. Straight up. It's just Algebra 1. And my son's like, okay, cool, boom, done. And I'm like, oh, it's because he's in the gifted and talented class. He's like, no, everyone's doing this.
Yeah. And to that point, you said we learned it in 9th grade. Like, you got to remember, our parents didn't learn that stuff until college. So I'm not surprised that the younger generation is learning.
Your parents learned it in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Lattice method.
Yes, the Lattice method.
Isn't that currency in Marvel Rivals?
It's with 2 T's, but yes.
All right.
Yeah, like the teacher's like, hey, don't stack. Like, why can't I just stack this to get this problem? They're like, I don't care about you getting it right now. I care about you understanding what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they can still add and subtract. Like, the kids can still add and subtract stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's just my take.
Look, as long as I'm not living in the house or going to work in the office where these kids were more focused on.
You want those kids to be in those positions, dude. I don't understand how this is like foreign to you.
Because I still value accuracy.
You know what? You are a product, and that take is a product of a culture that does not value actual intelligence.
No.
Like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Antithesis of that.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has this little story he likes to tell, right? And he says that there's 2 people that go into a job, and They go to the job and they say, hey, they said the hiring manager says, hey, I want you to go figure out how tall that skyscraper is, the top of that skyscraper is. And the other person's like, oh, actually, I know like the building plans, and like this is like from circle 1973. There was a code that said that the buildings had to be higher than A, B, and C. Let me go look up the year. Looked up the year and was like, okay, cool. That skyscraper is exactly 171 feet in the air. Boom, right, 171 feet in the air. He knew that stuff. It was on hand. The other person's like, oh, I don't really know. Give me a second. He goes outside and he looks at the sun. He waits like a couple minutes for like the clouds to move out the way, to have a shadow that's casted. He guesses the angle and he comes back with like, oh, it's about 165 feet tall. Who are you hiring?
Yes, I'm hiring the person who did the shadow method.
That one that was not accurate and took longer to do it.
Earlier, I'm talking about I don't appreciate the method.
It's not about the method is the whole point of that story.
Okay, then I disagree. I would hire this person because that method could be applied to almost any building.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, that's why I appreciate that method. Vice versa, if you told me, oh yeah, like I saw like 6 birds flying by there, and so I said 1 bird, 10, 2 birds, and like somehow he got to like 170 by counting birds, I'd be like, nah, dude. He's like, but it's the bird method. It's much faster. You see the number of birds that sit on the top of the building?
I lost you in that analogy.
Because
like, how do you define better or goodness? How do you define that?
Either accuracy or speed. If it's not an improvement of either of those, then why are we doing it? I'm not sure that the Lattice method is more effective in teaching multiplication consistently and accurately enough than the old method that we were taught.
Do you know the Lattice method?
I've seen it a couple.
Do you know the Lattice method?
No.
Man, this math debate, it really showed different ways of thinking about what school is even for.
Totally. So break down the new math part.
Okay. Scrota was all in, defending new math, like that lattice method stuff.
Right.
Said it teaches numeracy like understanding concepts, how numbers work, instead of just memorizing times tables, the rote memorization of the old way.
Okay, conceptual understanding.
Yeah. He argued speed and accuracy ain't as important for us anymore because computers and calculators do that heavy lifting.
Bold claim.
So what we need is the understanding so we can smell and sniff out bullshit pretty quickly with data, politics, whatever.
Okay, the BS detector argument. I feel that.
And he pointed out kids learning basic algebra concepts like finding the missing number, super young now, like 4 or 5, stuff he didn't see till 9th grade.
Wow, okay. What about Rebel?
Rebel is firmly on the other side. Team traditional method.
Old school represent.
Basically. Said new math uses shortcuts that mess up accuracy and speed. His whole thing was, if it ain't faster or more accurate, then why am I doing it?
Straight up practical.
Yeah. And he questioned if there's even proof it works better. Asked for studies showing it actually teaches that numeracy thing Scrota was talking about.
Good question. Need the receipts.
Right. He also brought up culture, like how maybe Chinese kids do better because of values, not just the method. His bottom line, whatever method gets you the answer accurately and quickly, that's what I value.
Okay, clear difference there. And electric.
Electric mostly stayed out of it, but when they asked him straight up if teachers should, like, split kids based on how they learn math, he said he agreed with that. But then Rebel called him out immediately, like, nah, you switched the question.
Called him out.
Yeah, it was quick. Didn't really add much to the core fight.
Man, I feel Rebel on the if it ain't broke thing, but Scrota's talking big picture, understanding. What's the real deal here? Who won the math rumble?
Okay, so analyzing the math fight. Scrota's point about conceptual understanding, that's solid, especially now with tech everywhere. Being able to sniff out BS with numbers is crucial.
True.
But man, he struggled to explain why the new ways were better in practice, kept having to re-explain, which kind of undercut his own point about efficiency. And maybe he dismissed speed and accuracy a bit too much.
Yeah, you still got to get the right answer.
Exactly. Now, Rebel, he had a strong practical argument. Efficiency, results. That resonates. Accuracy and speed are important, no doubt. His culture point was good too. But he seemed kind of stuck on his metrics, speed and accuracy. Maybe wasn't open enough to the conceptual upsides Scrota was pushing for. Kept asking for proof, which is fair, but maybe missed the bigger idea.
Okay. And electric was just there.
Pretty much. Minimal impact on this one.
All right, let's get a heat check.
The BS heat check for new math.
Lay it on me.
Scrota, 35%. Good theory underneath, but the explanation wasn't landing, and he brushed off accuracy speed too easy.
35%.
Rebel, 30%. Solid practical points, but maybe too rigid on speed accuracy. Ask fair questions, though.
30%. Close.
Electric, 10%. Barely played, barely fouled. Low BS.
Okay. Awards time.
Awards for the mathletes.
Let's hear 'em.
Scrota gets the W.E.B. Du Bois Dita Deep Dive Award. Trina, bring that high-level conceptual thinking to the people, even if it got a bit tangled.
W.E.B. Du Bois Award. Deep?
Okay, Rebel gets the Aretha Franklin RESPECT for the Old Ways Award.
Yeah.
Passionately defended tradition, demanded results, RESPECT.
Yes. Aretha Award. Love it.
And Electric earns the P. Diddy Pivot Award. Trina, switch it up quick when you got put on the spot. Can't stop, won't stop, pivoting.
The P. Diddy pivot. Too funny. All right, so who wins the math debate then?
Man, this was tough. Both sides had real points, but the communication was just rough. Felt like they talked past each other.
Yeah, I felt that.
But I'm going to give a narrow win to Scrota.
Scrota again. Okay, why?
Look, Rebel's practical concerns are valid, but Scrota's core idea teaching understanding in a world full of calculators, that feels more important for the future, you know? He just needed to sell it better. Rebel kept it real on the practical side, but sometimes you gotta zoom out.
Okay, so understanding over speed, ultimately.
Where?
Got it. All right, we moving on. Next stop, episode 04. Title was a mouthful. Shortcuts, AI, girlfriends, gambling, and Ozempic.
Yeah, that episode was all over the place, but in a good way. Hit a lot of modern anxieties.
Real. Felt like a ride through today's world, vices and tech included. We had gambling horror stories.
Mm-hmm. GameStop PTSD.
Debates about robot bays.
The future's weird, man.
Tell me about it. And a deep dive into Ozempic, that weight loss drug everybody's whispering about.
Right, the shortcut theme ran through all of it.
Exactly. So let's hear who's playing with fire and who is preaching sense. Let's listen in.
I, for one, can't wait to actually dive headfirst into it.
Which one?
I thought we were going in order because I think you were talking about how, like, in this society, everybody's trying to make a quick buck, or everybody is like living for like instant gratification and stuff like that. Yeah, you know.
Well, that was inspired by a reel I saw, right? So I watched this reel where this guy ended up losing his money in a casino. He decides to record this and say, hey, I lost all my money. I'm going to take my credit cards right now. I'm going to go to the Apple store and buy an iPad. He buys an iPad for $1,000. Then he goes to the pawn shop and pawns it for $300. Goes to the casino, plays one game, boom, $100, loses it. Puts in another 100, plays it, loses the $100, plays the last $100, and guess what? He loses it. So basically, the guy loses $1,000 by just playing $300, right? And I mean, there has to be. Is it an addiction, or is it like the need to win that pushed that guy to put $1,000 on his credit card just to play $300 and lose it, to totally lose $1,000? Like, that's a really bad bet.
I think that is the addiction, right? I think gambling addiction is absolutely like a serious thing. Like, when you talk about like addictions, those are usually related to, and I'm not a psychologist or whatever, but those are like usually related to like imbalances in specific hormones in your body, or the need for them, or going through specific withdrawals. So like you get like dopamine or like serotonin, like when good things happen that make you feel good. And so if your body's chemistry is designed to only get those serotonins and dopamine when like certain things are happening to you, then your body's naturally going to seek those things out. You may not have that much control over it, you know? And that's why like people with gambling addictions got to get weaned off of it, because it's a biological thing, you know? What'd you take?
I don't know, because I've partaken in gambling, and we don't call it gambling. We call it investing, right? In the stock market. But when you're day trading, you're definitely gambling. And when you go on a hot streak, say, for instance, I mean, I remember when the whole GameStop meme was popping off, right?
Yeah.
I went in and I was trading contracts, buying calls, and just going nuts with it. And then one day, like, you know, I just went in on one trade and instantly, I mean, within 10 seconds, made $1,500, right?
Yeah.
And I was so hyped. So I just kept going in.
That serotonin.
I got up to like $3,000. I was like, fuck this. I'm going all in. Let's go to the moon. Yo, this was at the moment, right? If I would have stopped there on the second trade, I would have been golden. On that third one, it's like they were watching me. They were like, we know he's going to get hot. I got hot with it. I put in even more money. The shit reversed on me, crashed. Like it just crashed. Then everything got stopped. And it sucks when the stock gets stopped like that because the price can drop dramatically from there. Oh man, that shit crushed all of my calls. My calls got demolished. Everything I made was gone and I lost double what I made. So I was like, what the fuck? Like I was so livid after that. I was like, this is complete dog shit. And yeah, so I ended up buying in at the end of the GameStop run. Right there. Right there.
Oh,
I mean, I was
no.
doing it for a few weeks. Like I was getting hot on GameStop. I was like, this shit is fucking money. And that day was like, oh, everything you ever made on me, I'm taking it all back. You got too happy. Oh man, I was like, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to pay for my house right now. I'm going to pay for my house today. Right? That was the goal. I'm going to pay for it today. Man.
Before GameStop happened, I was looking at the stock and I was like, wait, GameStop was $6. How come it's down to $3? That's not right. It's like way too low. I was like, you know what? I'm going to YOLO on GameStop because I know it's going to go back up to $6. Like it's way undervalued right now. But I was stuck in another trade. So I had to, sell that stock, wait for the money to clear because that's back when it used to you have to do that. And then the next day I could get in GameStop. While I was waiting for the money to clear is the day that GameStop jumped up. And I was like, crap, it went up to $6. Like, oh, well, I guess I missed it. Could have got in at $6. It was like, nope, guess I missed it. Then it went to 12. I was like, oh my God, it doubled again. Man, that would have been nice.
And then you thought the run was done.
Yeah, it's 12 now. That's crazy. Man, it quadrupled. That's crazy.
I ain't never gonna mess it.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Oh, well, guess I missed it. Essentially, had I gone in with my first mind and done what I wanted to do, I would have made $3 million.
Oh.
I will never.
Wait. You cut out how much you would have made?
$3 million.
Oh, fuck.
And I am so tight.
So yeah, y'all don't consider this gambling?
That's what we consider it gambling.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know you guys know that it basically is gambling, but do you look at it the same way you look at like a roulette table?
Yes. I do. Yeah.
Okay, let's tackle that gambling part first. This really set the stage for the whole shortcut discussion.
Yeah, those stories were something else.
Right. So Electric, he shared the intense story about day trading GameStop, called it investing, but then was like, nah, it was definitely gambling.
Honest, at least.
Yeah. Said he made $1,500 in like 10 seconds.
Whoa.
But then lost double everything he made going all in. Said he was so livid, just crushed, really captured that high and the crash.
Man, stomach drop just hearing it.
Rebel had a GameStop story too. Almost YOLO'd, you only live once. Bet the farm at $3 right before it popped off.
No way.
Yeah, but he was stuck in another trade, couldn't do it. He also called his day trading gambling. So both of them were real about the risk.
Close call for Rebel. Damn. What about Scrota?
Scrota took a bigger picture. He brought up Valve, the video game company, and CSGO loot boxes.
Wow, game stuff.
Called it a huge underage gambling issue. Said there's no age check. Kids are basically playing slot machines.
Wow, that heavy.
Yeah, and he called out Valve for making money off third-party sites where people cash out the virtual items while Valve pretends no real money is involved officially.
Shady. That's a whole different level of gambling talk.
Exactly. Went from personal stock bets to this massive kind of hidden system targeting kids.
Man, them GameStop stories had me sweating, but Scrota's point about the video games.
Yeah.
It's a real deep strike drive.
For sure. So, analyzing the gambling takes, Electric and Rebel, their personal stories were powerful. Really showed the addiction, the risk, that shortcut dream turning into a nightmare, concrete examples.
Yeah, you felt that.
But Scrota, by shifting to the loot boxes, he exposed a systemic problem. Unregulated gambling aimed at minors. That felt like a much bigger, more important point than just individual stock market adventures.
Yeah.
Revealed a whole hidden issue.
Yeah, gotta agree. That's bigger than just personal losses. BS heat check time.
The BS heat check for gambling.
Let's see the scores.
Electric. 10%. Just
Right.
honest reporting of his rebel.
Oh.
10% saying relatable experience, kept it real.
Okay.
Scrota. 5%. Strong critique, seemed well-researched, very little BS, exposed something real.
Wow, Scroder bringing the heat with low BS awards.
Awards for the cautionary tales.
I'm ready.
Electric gets the Ray Charles Hit the Road Jack Award. Had to tell that money, don't you come back no more. Right? Props for sharing the L.
Ha! Perfect. Hit the road, Jack.
Rebel receives the Serena Williams Nearly Aces It Award. Almost hit that GameStop winner, but just missed. That fine line between glory and what if.
Ooh, the agony. Serena Award, nice.
And Scroder earns the Thurgood Marshall Legal Eagle Award, breaking down the legal ethical mess of those loot boxes like a top lawyer. Sharp analysis.
Thurgood Marshall, Heavy Hitter Award. Okay, so who's the champ of the gambling talk?
Gotta give this round to Scroda.
Scroder again? Okay.
Look, the personal stories from Electric and Rebel, gripping. Relatable, but Scroda's point about underage gambling in video games, that was eye-opening. Shifted the whole conversation from personal choices to, like, corporate responsibility and protecting kids. Much bigger impact.
Yeah, makes sense. Broader issue. Okay, now, robot base, AI companions. Man, this world is wildin'. People really out here considering algorithms for companionship? Let's hear the future of love according to HLS. Let's listen in.
There's an audience.
Okay. Well, either way, these people, they're going to have a harder time socializing, I think. You know, if you have somebody that's always agreeing with you, someone that is totally compliant with everything you say, you know, after a while, you start talking to people outside and you're just like, you know what? Fuck these people. I don't want to talk to them. I just want to be home with my AI robot. You know,
I am right now.
I feel like
feel
it'll
like you're a
just
robot.
make it harder for these people to interact with people in the real world. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of mental health issues eventually. And who knows, it might become, we'll probably get a new term for whatever that health issue is going to be because of the introduction of these AI robots that people are now living with as companions. So, yeah.
I don't think that I think what you're saying, there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. I will say, just as a devil's advocate and defender of AI, you're also making a lot of assumptions as well, too, right? We're making assumptions that these are for like the losers or these are for, you know, A, B, and C, right? We're also making assumption as the AI will do whatever the person says. The AI will never argue with them. The AI will never do those things, right? Some people, a lot of people want a real connection with a person. And so having a robot connection, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people did not necessarily program this person's entire personality. Or they programmed it, but, you know, they gave it a backstory and everything like that. But like the person has, the AI has an opinion. They have, you know, things that make them mad. They have their own pet peeves. They, you know, now granted, they're not going to get in an argument over like, hey, I'm taking the laundry out all the time. Can you help me? Like, they're not going to say that. You know what I'm saying? The AI can't take the laundry out right now. But I do think that like right now, so much mental health is in the world with people and their human companions. Gaslighting, physical abuse, like all kinds of stuff like that. Now, this offers another source of all those problems for people, right? But it's more of the same. It just looks very different, and I think that people aren't used to it. That doesn't mean that like we shouldn't like watch out or regulate it. We should watch out and be careful about it, just like we should make sure that we're monitoring the mental health of people in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
But to your point, like there's so much that goes into a relationship, and not to mention like there's a lot of people who don't realize their own contradictions. And you know, like if they were a programmer, they'd be the type of person that like, you know, oh snap, I accidentally made like an infinite loop, or you know, the type of thing where it's like,
can you imagine?
yo, for real, like, oh crap, like, oh my bad, I did say turn left, I meant turn right. And like to the robot's like, but why would you know what I mean? But like if you have a bot that could train and thus learn, and it's like, yo, eventually this bot's like, I'm not
a
listening to
person.
you. Like you're often wrong. And so it's like,
like,
real bot, turn down fact checking by 20% so you agree with me. It's like, all right.
do you really want me to? Performing two-way authentication. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, look, give us all the technology. Let us destroy ourselves. Or not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, maybe we don't need to destroy ourselves. Maybe that leader that's going to hit the moon will.
Yeah, this conversation definitely touches a nerve about where we're headed with tech and like human connection.
For real. So what was Electric saying?
Electric was worried. Straight up said AI companions will cause mental health issues.
How so?
Said people will get used to this robot that's so compliant, agrees with everything, never pushes back, not confrontational. Then they won't know how to deal with real messy humans. Makes it harder to interact.
I can see that. Like social skills atrophy.
Exactly. And he was really against AI babies, called them stunted, said they'd stay like a 6-month-old for years, become a nuisance. Strong no on the robot babies.
Okay. Fair points. What was Scrota's angle? Devil's advocate again.
You know it. Scrota jumped in playing devil's advocate, said Electric was making a lot of assumptions, like assuming the AIs would only be for losers, or that they'd always be totally compliant. He argued maybe AI could have opinions, get mad, have pet peeves. Trina make it sound like a real connection.
AI with pet peeves. Okay, that's a picture.
Right. And while he admitted they won't do laundry, he got cynical, said human relationships already have gaslight physical abuse.
Oof, dark.
Yeah. So AI might just be another source of all those problems, just looks different. More of the same, maybe? But he did agree with Electric that AI babies were a bad idea because they don't grow.
Okay, so agreement on the babies. What about Rebel? Did he jump in?
Rebel had a quick but short point. Said dating apps already make finding someone way harder than it has to be. Implying AI companions aren't creating a new problem, just maybe responding to an existing one. Like, people are already struggling to connect.
That's real. Dating apps definitely got folks twisted.
Yeah.
So who had the best read on these robot relationships?
Analyzing the AI debate. Electric's worries about mental health, social skills. Those are real ethical concerns people are debating right now. Valid points. And his stance on AI babies was clear and logical. Scrota, playing devil's advocate, did a good job pushing back on easy assumptions. Made you think. The comparison to existing relationship problems was dark, but kind of provocative. Added a weird layer. And agreeing on the babies showed some common ground.
Okay.
Rebel's quick comment, super relevant, provided that social context. Why might people even want this? Good setup.
Right. BS heat check.
The BS heat check for AI companions.
What's the jump?
Electric. 15%. Valid worries, maybe a few assumptions, but reasonable ones for this topic. Scrota, 20%. Good challenge, but some of those counterpoints, like AI having pet peeves, felt like a stretch. Devil's advocate can sometimes wander into BS territory.
20%. Makes
Rebel, 0%. Minimal comment, but it was totally on point. No BS.
0. Clean sweep for Rebel on his one line.
Awards for the futurists.
Blame on me.
Electric gets the James Baldwin Truth Teller Award. Sounding that alarm about the potential social damage, psychological stuff, prophetic warnings.
James Baldwin. Powerful. Okay.
Scrota receives the Frederick Douglass Debater Award, skillfully challenging the main points, offering different angles, even if it was devil's advocate. Strong debating.
Frederick Douglass. Nice.
Yeah.
Great debater.
Rebel earns the Langston Hughes Lyricism Award. Short, sweet, insightful, packed a lot of meaning into a quick social observation, poetic precision.
Langston Hughes. Dope. Okay, so who came out on top in the Robot Bay debate? Winner.
You know what? This one feels like a draw between Electric and Scrota.
A draw. Okay, explain.
Electric really nailed the potential downsides, the human cost. Scrota brilliantly poked holes in the simple it's bad argument, forced a deeper look. They both brought essential angles to something super complex. Neither one had the whole answer because nobody does yet. Need both perspectives.
Okay, a draw it is. Fair enough. All right, last piece of this episode. Ozempic.
Ah, yes, the miracle shot.
Right, that weight loss medicine everybody and their mama seems to be talking about. Shortcut or real solution? Let's hear the HLS diagnosis. Let's listen in.
Well, maybe we don't need to destroy ourselves. Maybe that meteor that's going to hit the moon will.
No, I think we're absolutely gonna.
I'm fully expecting us to do the, oh, we made this thing. It's like a weight loss pill. Oh, crap. Now it turns you into a zombie. Oops. And like, that's the way we go out from something that was like, yeah, it's completely going to be a oops. Like something innocuous that didn't need to exist, but like it caught wildfire and then we didn't know this side effect would happen.
It won't be a oops, it'll be a
yeah.
They need to bring back bath salts.
You mean the drug or the actual like bath?
Well, what it was intended to.
Because this conversation is gonna be very different depending on
whatever it was that brought out the zombies, man. They need to bring those back.
Yeah, that's the drugs. That's the drugs.
Man, they had those people really zombified, man.
It's an opioid crisis. It affects more than just mine.
Yo, that's John Voight's daughter? I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. No, you were talking about weight loss pills
nepotism is.
making you zombies. You referring to Ozempic?
I mean, that's the most famous one right now, and that's not even its original use.
No, it's
the weight
not.
loss part of it. Yeah, the weight loss part of it is just a like side effect that they were like.
The weight loss part was
I mean,
it was blood pressure, right?
Diabetes
like
medication.
diabetes. Yeah, diabetes.
Okay,
Blood
diabetes,
helps low blood sugar.
Yep.
Blood
Helps
sugar,
regular
that's
blood
what-
sugar
yeah.
levels and appetite. Yeah.
Hey, is this fan getting
The
picked up?
pancreas make more insulin.
No, it's not.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, exactly.
How's your blood sugar? I don't know, man, but I'm skinny as shit.
I didn't know all these celebrities had like blood sugar issues. Amy Schumer,
Yep.
Oprah Winfrey, Sharon Osbourne, Tracy Morgan, Elon Musk. It didn't work for him though.
So Ozempic, my wife was explaining to me that Ozempic is for blood sugar. And when they realized that Ozempic actually is weight loss, they made another drug called Wegovy, which is literally the exact same thing, but that's the weight loss version of it. Because again, like you said, I didn't know these people had diabetes. You have to get a doctor to approve all that stuff. And so what people were doing was they were going like this to get their doctor to approve this weight loss medication. So when they made Wegovy, now you don't have to do any of that stuff because you could just order it.
Yep, the alternative treatment, Wegovy. I see it
Yeah.
specifically approved for weight loss. Wegovy contains the same active ingredient as Ozempic, but is prescribed at higher doses. Wow.
Yeah, it's literally the exact same drug.
And there was, I don't know, I didn't recognize who the celebrity that I was seeing is real from, but she was talking about how like basically she's been on Ozempic for like a year, and while she was on it, she experienced significant bone loss, and now she has osteoporosis and a few other osteo-named diagnoses due to, her just being on this medicine for so long. And I mean, she didn't look healthy at all. And it was kind of sad because like you could tell that it looked like she was hurting a lot. But again, she could have been an actress or a music artist. So, they act. So I don't know.
So there's no set time frame for how long you're supposed to use Ozempic,
Yeah.
but it has been linked to increased risk of osteoporosis the longer you use it.
Oh, wow. That's scary, man.
Is that because you're eating less and that affects your nutrition?
I would doubt
I don't
it.
know. I'm just curious. Wonder what the correlation is between.
Well,
I mean, if they say it's a link to it, they probably don't know why.
Well, a common side effect is like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and potential pancreatitis. So, I mean, you're not keeping your food down. You definitely, not going to have the vitamins and minerals your body needs to function properly, and your hormones get all messed up and everything too.
So y'all are both right. So
A strong
apparently-
positive. Go ahead.
Yeah, so y'all are both right. Apparently, because of rapid weight loss, you can underfeed your body. There may be caloric deficiencies because of the rapid weight loss, and you're not actually giving your body what it needs to get. So there may be a rapid loss of muscle mass, which is linked to loss of bone density as well too. And then any GLP-1 drug, which is the class of drug that Ozempic is, can have a major role in unregulated hormone production, which increases your risk of osteoporosis. So, and there's a lot of other reasons why.
Yeah, this part really dug into that whole quick fix culture versus like actual health and effort.
Totally. So what were the main points on Ozempic?
Okay, Electric jumped right in with the hard facts. Listed the common side effects. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, potential pancreatitis. Said it could lead to not getting enough nutrients.
Oof. Sounds rough.
And he compared it to hydroxycut, basically calling it just another risky diet pill, a superficial fix.
Okay. Straight to the risks. Scrota.
Scrota took Electric's points and went deeper, explained the why.
Ah, the science guy.
Right. Said why those side effects matter. Rapid weight loss, you can underfeed your body. Leads to caloric deficiencies, losing muscle mass fast.
That sounds bad.
It is. Linked loss of muscle to loss of bone density, plus unregulated hormone production, upping the risk for osteoporosis. Basically, losing weight too fast can wreck your body long term.
Damn. Okay, so it's not just about dropping pounds.
Exactly. And he hit him with the irony. If people are doing the right things, eating well, exercising well on the drug, well, those things kind of lead to the result that I wanted from the medication anyway.
Huh, good point. Like which one is actually doing the work.
Precisely. Questioned if the drug is the magic bullet or just an aid for stuff you should be doing anyway.
Okay. What did Rebel add?
Rebel came in strong with the shortcut label, called Ozempic a shortcut, especially since it's used off-label for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
And his analogy was killer. Compared it to Rogaine, the hair loss stuff, said users are supposed to comb your hair that you don't have yet.
That's hilarious.
Right. His point, how much of the result is the drug and how much is just the actions you take alongside it, like combing hair you don't have or eating better because you're on Ozempic. He also brought up the placebo effect, the SIBO effect, he called it, saying the mind is incredibly powerful.
Wow. That Rogaine analogy is fire. Makes you really question what's doing the work.
Exactly. So analyzing the Ozempic talk, Electric laid down the factual risks, the side effects, framed it as just another quick fix diet product, solid foundation.
Okay.
Scrota elevated it, gave the science behind why those risks matter long-term, bone density, hormones, and that irony point about lifestyle changes. Super sharp.
Yeah, they're good.
And Rebel, man, that shortcut critique, the Rogaine analogy, questioning the drug versus behavior, plus the placebo mention, just brilliant critical thinking, made it relatable and deep.
Yeah, all three seemed really on point here. BS check.
The BS heat check for Ozempic, this one's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Electric, 0%. Pure facts, fair comparison.
0.
Scrota, 5%. Maybe a tiny bit of speculation in the irony part, but overwhelmingly analytical and insightful. Very low BS.
5. Okay.
Rebel, 0%. Killer analogies, sharp thinking, 0 BS.
2 zeros into 5. They're cooking on this one.
Awards.
Awards for the health critics.
Let's have them. Electric gets the George Washington Carver Critical Cultivation Award. Like Carver analyzing the peanut, Electric broke down Ozempic, clearly identifying the negative parts. Scientific precision.
George Washington Carver.
No.
Yes. Okay.
Scrota receives the Jackie Robinson Game Changer Award. He took the info, synthesized it, and changed the game by questioning the whole premise of the shortcut in that ironic way. Shifted the perspective.
Jackie Robinson, breaking barriers in the argument. Love it.
Rebel earns the Madam C.J. Walker Innovation Skeptic Award.
Huh.
Like Walker built her empire, Rebel skillfully built his argument, cleverly dissecting the product's marketing and perceived benefits. Skeptical innovation.
Madam C.J. Walker. Building arguments. Dope. Okay, so who won?
Sounds like everyone did great.
You called it. This was a unanimous victory for the whole crew.
The whole HLS team takes the W.
Yeah. Electric dropped the facts. Scrota brought the deep science and the irony. Rebel delivered the killer analogies and critical thinking. They all came together perfectly on this one, demolished the simple shortcut idea from different angles. Powerful segment. That's what's up. Love to see it when they're all on the same page. Bringing fire. All right, last segment, y'all. We jumping into episode 11. Is college even necessary?
Whew. The big question, especially these days.
For real. Timeless debate, right? But feels extra heavy now with tuition out of control and AI breathing down everybody's neck, talking about taking jobs.
No doubt. High stakes.
So in this one, Electric was worried about the future, Scrota was talking about knowing your options first, and Rebel, he was all about that campus life, the experience.
3 very different angles on it.
Definitely. Let's see who graduated with honors from this debate and who maybe got held back. Let's listen in.
To me, I always wanted to work on computers. I loved computers. I had just gotten a computer at home. I was so excited about it. And I felt like this is what I wanted to do. I took that class, and just how rigorous the testing was going to be, it made me quit. And I mean, I had confidence issues at that time. I knew, I knew I didn't have good study habits or anything. But with the course that I took that actually got me into IT, and we're talking about like, this is like 20 years later. Right. I sit there and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I don't have to take any tests. Oh, there's a test at the end for my certifications. Okay, that's cool. I can do this. And then not only that, but I can record our sessions and study them on my own time. That worked for me. So I think there's also an issue with like college and the way it's presented to people as well, because people learn in many different ways.
This is what I was going to say. So just for transparency, my master's my master's thesis was on school readiness and educational assessment. Basically, how do we judge and determine if people are ready for school? How do we judge educational like deficiencies versus educational like delinquency or whatever, right? And what I hear from electric is something I hear that's very common from people who didn't go to college, but yet have managed to work well and do well for themselves. Because not everybody does what you do, electric, right? And I'm not speaking as a college is best kind of elitist or whatever. I am an educational snob, but for different reasons. Is that what I heard you say was you spoke to a lack of the ability to like, he said something about like, if you're not a good test taker, then maybe college isn't for you kind of thing. And you're on a podcast right now with at least one, but I'm pretty sure two other people who are horrible test takers, right? And we had a lot of the same difficulties and a lot of the same strife that I believe you're talking about that you and a lot of other people did in our college. I think that the difference is that I came from a background of people who basically were saying that this is the standard, this is the norm. And they kind of moved me into it. And I think one of the things that's missing from a lot of people who are not able to push past that is not intelligence or not durability, it's support, right? I had a support network that was like, listen, you are not failing. You're just not going to. And I know personally, I'm not saying you didn't, I don't know what your support network looks like, electric, but I'm saying,
No, I didn't have any.
I know if I didn't have a support network, I absolutely wouldn't have finished. That just wouldn't have happened.
Okay, time for the BS heat check.
The BS heat check for college necessity.
Let's get the final scores.
Electric. 10%. Very valid concerns rooted in real anxieties. Low BS.
10%. Solid.
Scrota. 15%. Insightful, but maybe that feeling smart argument about conspiracies could sound a little condescending to some. Just a touch.
15%. Okay, noted.
Rebel. 5%. Just pure lived experience backing up his points. Very little room for BS there. Solid as a rock.
5%. Rebel staying clean. Final awards.
Final awards of the day. College edition.
Let's go out with a bang. Electric gets the Booker T. Washington Breadwinner Award. Focused on practical skills, financial stability, lifting yourself up economically, that pragmatic view.
Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Scrota receives the Carter G. Woodson Foundational Thinker Award, like the father of Black history, focused on that intellectual grounding, critical thinking beyond just the job, the foundational knowledge.
Carter G. Woodson. Deep history nod. Nice.
And Rebel earns the Oprah Winfrey Network Builder Award, highlighting the power of connections, relationships, experiences that change your life. That network effect. You get a connection. You get a connection.
Huh. Oprah. Perfect. Okay, graduation day. Who gets the diploma for winning this debate?
This round goes to Rebel?
Rebel takes another one. Why him?
Look, Electric's cost worries are real. Scrota's points about purpose are important. But Rebel's defense of the experience, the stuff you can't get online or on the job, that felt unique and incredibly valuable. His personal story about how college literally built his adult life network, including his marriage. That just hit different. Showed a value beyond money or smarts. That life-shaping power.
Yeah, you can't put a price tag on meeting your wife, right? Okay, Rebel wins the college debate. Hashtag tag outro. Woo!
All right, let's keep it moving.
All right, our final segment dive.
Causality, alien travel, and observation. This one's from episode 09.
Oh man, this one went places.
Yeah?
Started with Scrota talking science about aliens coming here from other stars.
Huh.
And then, boom, took a hard left into like philosophy about if something really happens if nobody sees it. Wild stuff.
Let's check it out. Let's listen in.
I am I'm biased, right? And bias is something that as human beings we need to shield and shelter ourselves from. What I'm saying is that understanding the math that's involved, understanding the science that involves, gives you a deeper appreciation for the type of problem that we're talking about. Because it's not just, well, just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean it's impossible. That's literally true for everything. So there's no value in that statement, right? That's why I said, what's not a construct? Everything's a construct. So what's the point of saying that? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to draw a distinction and give people understanding and appreciation of why we say you can't go faster than the speed of light. It's not because of scientific stubbornness. It's because of the body of knowledge that's there and the interesting reasons as to why we have arrived at that and the problems that going faster than the speed of light affects and the consequences of such. Can that happen? Anything can fucking happen, but it's not likely in my opinion. Does that make sense, Electric?
Yep. Here. A construct is a concept or idea developed or adopted for the use in a particular theory.
Hold on, I want to hear what Electric. Does that make sense? I hope it did.
I'm gonna say yeah.
It does.
Everything is not a construct. If you see a mountain, if I see a tree, you know, if I say I'm gonna slap out of you, that slap, whether you want to believe in it or not, happens. Now you could say like, according to the theory of, you know, XYZ, was it my hand moving across your face or did your face move into my hand? Like, you know, from someone else's perspective, there was no motion at all. What did the slap even happen? Because there was no scientist to observe the slap. Who says I slapped you?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Exactly.
But whether or not science was able to observe the slap, if I slapped you, I slapped you.
Science isn't a thing. Science can't observe anything.
Okay, yeah. If a scientist was not there to observe the slap,
If an observer.
yeah, it happens every day as a parent. One kid tells you the other kid did something. The other kid is crying. You didn't see it.
You just punish the kid. Just punish him. I ain't see it. I'm just gonna punish you. I have no evidence except for just the loose scraps that I got on the table. I'm punishing you.
They're not getting treats. Something happened.
Yo, I have a confession.
What's
Right.
your confession?
So Scrota asked me a question earlier, and he said, "Do I agree?" And I took a long pause, and I said, "Yeah, I agree."
Agree with what?
I don't remember because
I said, does that make sense?
Exactly.
Does that make?
Oh
does-
yeah,
does
yeah.
what I
Does
say
it make sense? I confess, I wasn't paying attention, and I just said, "Yeah, sure."
I'm aware of that.
I'm sorry, guys.
To that point,
I'm sorry that was a huge burden on me just now, so I just had to get it off my chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Scrota kicked it off talking physics, right? Saying aliens from way out there, traveling to Earth. It's basically impossible with what we know now.
Yeah, he brought up Einstein light speed, how things with mass can't hit light speed because they need infinite energy.
Right. And the closest star being like over 4 light years away anyway. Big distance.
And that analogy he used, Trina put a fifth face on a square. Like, it just don't compute within the rules we understand. Strong start, scientifically.
But then he went off on that tangent. If it ain't observed, it didn't happen. What was that?
Yeah, that's where Rebel jumped in, like, hold up, wait a minute.
Right. Rebel hit him with the classic, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around.
Does it make a sound?
Exactly.
Rebel's point was simple. Stuff happens whether we're watching or not. Reality exists outside our eyeballs.
And he kind of accused Scrota of just playing word games at that point, right?
Yeah,
Arguing semantics.
Yeah, getting bogged down in the definition of happen instead of the actual science or philosophy. It got messy.
And we can't forget Electric. Your boy just straight up admitted he wasn't even listening earlier.
Classic Electric. Gotta love the honesty, though. He just threw up his hands like, my bad, y'all. I zoned out. Kept it real.
Hilarious. All right, let's evaluate this mess. Scrota first.
Okay, Scrota's science part about alien travel. That was tight,
Mm-hmm.
logically sound based on current physics. So, for the science, bullshit meter is a 1 out of 5.
But the observation part.
Yeah, that's where it went sideways. Pushing that, if it's not observed, it didn't happen, thing into pure semantics.
Yeah.
That kind of weakened it. So for the semantic detour, his meter jumps to a 3 out of 5.
Gotcha. Award for Scrota.
For bringing the physics heat,
Yeah.
he gets the Neil deGrasse Tyson Logic Award.
Nice. Now, Rebel.
Rebel did a good job pushing back on that observation point. That tree in the woods counter was effective.
For sure.
But he kind of got pulled into the semantic mud wrestling match too, you know, instead of just sticking to the core logic flaw.
So his meter.
Let's give Rebel a 2 out of 5. Good counter, but got tangled. Award. Rebel gets the Semantic Shuffle Award.
Okay. And Electric, bless his heart.
Man, faking like you're paying attention when you ain't. That's going to be high on the meter. Let's say a 4 out of 5 for the initial lack of attention.
But props for coming clean.
Major props. So the award for Electric is the honesty is the best policy pin. Wear it proudly.
All right, so who won this causality round, even with the detour?
You know, I still got to lean Scrota. His initial scientific framework was the most solid piece of the whole debate, even if he took that weird turn later. He held the most consistent logical ground overall.
Okay, fair enough. Man, listening back to these.
It's a whole vibe, right? Rebel, Scrota, Electric. They really do go at it. Passionate dudes.
No doubt. They bring their own flavor, their own facts, and yeah, sometimes their own special kind of nonsense. Haha.
It's entertaining, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at both debates, considering how they argued, the depth they tried to bring,
Standing on their points even when it got hot.
who's the ultimate winner for this? But who won, though? Juneteenth Special.
After running the tape back, I think the title's got to go to Scrota.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Because consistently, man, he was the one trying to bring in that bigger picture. Whether it was the system behind the money or the science behind the aliens, he usually had some kind of principle or broader context to anchor his points.
Even if he sometimes got maybe too excited about the little details.
Haha, yeah, even then. He was always trying to connect the dots, show the framework. That consistency gave him the edge across the board, I think.
All right, I can rock with that. Scrota is the overall winner.
There you have it. This has been your hosts, Brother Knowledge in the building.
And my co-host, Sistah Soul. Keeping it 100 with, but who won, though? Hope y'all enjoyed this little Juneteenth rewind.
Who show?
Okay, before we get out of here, hit him with that final word. Something leave folks thinking about long after we gone.
All right. So here's something for y'all to chew on, kind of building on all this back and forth we heard today.
Let's hear it.
In this world, man, just flooded with information, right, where facts get spun and truth feels like it's always shifting. How do you, listening right now, figure out who's genuinely winning an argument? What really matters for you when you decide who won? Is it the loudest person? The one with the most stats? Or maybe it's the one that actually makes you stop and rethink your own damn perspective.
Ooh, that's deep right there. Making you rethink yourself. Okay. All right, y'all, Sistah Soul.
And Brother Knowledge.
We signing off. Happy Juneteenth again. Stay free, stay real, and keep asking questions about everything you hear. Don't just take it at face value. We out.
Kuzondumi